Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining on time. I hope you all had a wonderful day. If not, let us see if we can end your day on a better note. I believe you have been through the agenda. No need to repeat it. If you are joining the session for the first time and you want to be in subgroup, please send me an email to this email address and we'll make sure that you are part of the group. All right. Before I start, please maybe thumbs up so that I know you can hear me and you can also see the screen. Perfect. Thank you, Rishi. Let's start. All right, guys. Again, this is the fifth session, so feel free to disturb me at any point of time. Ask any questions. Don't wait for me to like finish something and then I will ask. Just ask. All right. So disclaimer, So let's start with this. I think we had this also, but I want to repeat this part because it's very important. Why I think it's important. So, when you learn anything, first thing that you should think of, one of the things that you should think of is how can I use it? So, even though you are not right now in A2, you can say a lot of things. If you know just a few verbs and if you know a whole lot of adjectives, you can say a variety of things. And here the title is Learn to Give Your Opinion. I mean, it need not be by this, I mean, let's say you take part in a meeting, with your boss or with some client or with stakeholders, and then you want to say something, you want to, how did you find the presentation, or what do you think about the proposal? You can say all of these things right now, okay, with just a few words and with a whole lot of adjectives. So guys, please tell me, how do I say these things? So I think we should hire him. How do I say this? How do I say the So everything that you see, I want to hear from you. How will you say all of these things? And if I am asking, that means you should be able to answer. Otherwise, I would not ask. Wrong answers are fine. So how do I say I think?
Ich denke,
Okay. How do I say we hire? How do you say to hire someone?
wir einstellen,
Okay. Think.
aufstellen.
No, einstellen is the correct. There are many ways to say to hire, but einstellen is correct.
Okay,
But is it trennbarer
okay.
or not trennbarer? So do you have
Trennbaren.
trennbarer, right? Then how will you say we hire?
Wir stellen ihn ein.
Right? Correct. So in ein, right? So you said in ein.
Ihn, ja,
And now say the
ja.
entire sentence, please. And now you have to use the modal verb. So the good thing is about modal verb is that you don't have to like separate the other verb. So and also don't conjugate it. But how do you say this? The entire thing?
Ich denke, dass
Das
wir
is not there.
sollten,
Das is not there. So don't say it.
okay, ich denke, wir sollten ihn einstellen.
Okay. So for those who know why did he say Zoltan, maybe because he knows that. So when you say should, you have to use the Konnektor zwei variety of Zoltan, and that Zoltan we'll talk about it maybe in the next session. But yeah, you can also say Zoltan, but Zoltan is more correct. Anyone else wants to go for the second sentence, or you will all let Rishi talk?
Du bist pünktlich.
The entire sentence, please. How do you say it is
Es
good?
ist, es ist gut,
Yeah.
dann du bist pünktlich.
Dan. Do you think it's correct?
No,
Then how do you say that?
Thus,
Das. And when you use das, I don't know if you know this or not, but you should know it from A1 at least. If not, so when you use das, the verb that is being conjugated gets pushed to the last position. So if you, how do you say
du pünktlich bist.
correct, right? So da ist gut, dass du pünktlich bist. Thank you very much. Anyone else wants to go for the third sentence?
Ich finde es interessant, dass ein äh,
Yeah, this is the same thing.
Verb,
Yeah. Yeah.
Verb, zwei, I don't know what to say, how to say meanings.
Okay, this is interesting.
bedeutet,
How do you say
bedeutet,
bedeut
bedeutet.
bedeutung, right? There the das.
Here it is plural, so the
So, but then it will be bedeutungen, right? But I still want to know if it's singular, what is it there, the or das? And you should know this because I have given you enough hints. Just look at the ending of the noun.
Uh, UNG.
Yeah, then
The.
wherever it is ong,
The.
okay? Yeah, right. So now please give the meaning, but you are right. It is plural, so bedeutungen. Entire sentence, please.
Ich finde es interessant, dass ein Verb zwei zwei Bedeuten
No, no.
kann,
Bedeutung,
haben.
Bedeutung. Bedeutung is singular and plural is Bedeutungen. One more time.
Okay, okay. Zwei Bedeutungen äh, kann haben.
No. So let's say, how will you say one verb? Let's forget about the that. How do you say one verb can have two meanings? How do you say this one? If there was no that, come on.
Können,
No, 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 no. Not Kyonen. It's everything is correct. There is problem with the position of the verb. So you say one verb, right? You say ein Verb. And then what do you say after
Ein
ein
Verb
Verb?
können zwei Bedeutungen haben.
Yes, it's now the positioning is correct, but you did not conjugate the verb correctly. So kyonen, so one verb is singular, right? And it is singular third party. So what should be there instead of kyonen?
Can.
Kann.
Can.
Can.
Kann. So
Can.
ein Verb kann zwei Bedeutungen haben. Now in this sentence, as I said, whenever you use that, das, right, you push the conjugated verb to the last position. So one verb can have two meanings. So ein Verb kann zwei Bedeutungen haben. Here kann is the conjugated verb, right? Now when das comes into picture, this kann gets pushed to the last position. Clear? Is it clear or not? Because you said,
Yeah.
das ein Verb zwei Bedeutungen kann haben. Okay, in real life, if you say, I will know what you mean, but in exam, they will cut your marks. One last time, please give the answer. Give the answer, please. The one who was talking.
can you repeat the answer?
You gave the correct answer. Just make sure. Uh, what
Uh,
was your answer?
Ich finde es interessant, dass ein Verb haben zwei Bedeutungen kann.
So, ich finde es interessant, dass ein Verb zwei Bedeutungen haben kann. Okay, come back to it. I believe it was not clear what I said. Okay, how do I say this part? Wait, let me just make sure it is understood. Otherwise, you should know this, by the way. If you don't know it, it's not good, right? So normally you have subject, verb, and then you may or may not have object or adjective. Okay, and you conjugate this verb. Okay, you conjugate it. If you have like modal verb as well, then you will have subject, modal verb, then you may or may not have object or adjective. And then towards the end, you will have the actual verb. Okay, towards the end, you will have the actual
Yeah.
verb. And
Main verb.
yes, main verb. You can call it main verb, and you don't conjugate it. You only conjugate this one. Okay, this is how normal sentence looks like. The moment you put das, okay, moment you put das, what happens is that the conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position. So here the conjugate in this case with modal verb, the conjugated verb is this one, right? So this gets pushed to the last position. Is it clear now? Do you want to give the answer one last time?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead.
Ich finde es interessant, dass ein Verb zwei Bedeutungen haben kann.
Okay. Next sentence, please. Maybe I can you give this answer? Yeah, next one. I am sure that I passed the exam.
Ich bin sicher, dass ich die Prüfung, uh, I don't know what to say, pass.
Just think, you should know this. I mean, like, do you have you never said this? Like, so, like, how to pass? Like any exam? Okay, someone wants to help her.
Verstanden oder standen. Something like that.
Where did you say verstanden? But the verb,
Standen.
I need
Yeah.
the verb, right? What is the verb? What you are saying is the adjective.
I have forgotten actually.
Okay, so just think any verb, right? It ends with en. Now, okay, Beshan also entry.
Verstehen.
Kannst du das bitte buchstabieren für mich? Kannst du das wer buchstabieren für mich? Can you please spell it for me?
Ferstehen.
In German, please.
Nine. Nest.
But
Oh my God.
let's see, if it's wrong, you will learn something new. Please give the alphabets in German. Come on.
Arbeiten.
No. The one, which 1 second. Someone gave the spelling right. It even if it is wrong, I still want to hear it. So give me the alphabets in German. So it's yeah.
I missed the
Actually,
word.
I'm learning it on Duolingo, so I don't know how to spell it in German. So
So can you say
sorry.
just no problem, but if you don't mind, so you don't just not trying to pinpoint, just asking like so you don't know like A to Z like A B C D E F G. You don't know this?
No.
Okay, just no. So then you should learn that because it is very important. Otherwise, I mean you can attend A2, but it is very important. Okay. But
Yeah.
what was in English? Give me the word in English. Spell it in English. You said what did you say?
Verstehen.
Okay, it's not correct. It
Verstehen.
means something else. And someone else said Arbeiten, right?
Yes.
It's not.
A, B,
Arbeiten means
E.
work. Anyone else wants to give the answer? The reason I'm asking this is you should know this. Uh,
It ends with en, right? Arbeiten.
Verstehen, okay. So to
Yeah,
pass is to
en.
verstehen. Okay, arbeiten is to work. Verstehen is to understand. Do you understand?
Yes.
Verstehst du?
Verstanden.
Arbeiten is to so verstehen. And what do you think verstehen will be for ich? What do you think verstehen will be for ich?
Bestia.
Order. Order.
Oder? How is it oder?
Yes.
Verstehe.
Yeah, if you say
Bestia.
Bestelle. To order. To order.
no. Okay, so just make sure. So to say to pass, okay, this is to pass. This is means okay. How do you say to order? Anyone? So let's say to
Bestellen.
best talent, right?
Bestelle.
It's something else. Okay, guys, you can use Duolingo. Even I use it when I'm trying to learn French. But one thing it should be clear, because this is A2. These verbs, uh, you should know them. These are very common verbs, and I don't know if you entered A1 or not. If not, please attend the A1 sessions as well. Okay. Otherwise, it's not good. Okay. Next one, guys. How do I say I am sad because I did not pass the exam? I mean, you can also be happy, confused, irritated. The idea is that you know a bunch of adjectives. Okay. So how do I say I am sad?
Ich
Ich
bin
bin
traurig.
Traurig.
Ich bin traurig.
Ich bin traurig, happy,
Ich bin glücklich.
confused. Please mute
Keine
yourself
Ahnung.
if you're not talking.
Ich bin.
Yeah, ich bin a yes, but ich bin a is it's like
Ver
it's quite
verwirrt.
exaggerated.
Ich bin
Right?
verwirrt.
Please, just one more time. What do you say? Verwirrt.
Verwirrt.
So it's verwirrt, okay? Verwirrt. How do you say stressed?
Ich bin
Strängen.
stressig.
Strängen.
Stressig.
If you say ich bin stressed, that means you are the one who is causing the stress. So get stressed is the correct one. Okay. If you say ich bin stressed, that means like you are the one who is the reason for the stress. Okay. So if I say
Ich habe Stress.
Okay.
yes, you can also say that ich habe stress. That's also. And now, how do I say? So you know how to say I passed the exam. How do I say I did not pass the exam? Now it is again. Be careful. It is past tense. And okay. So how do I say this? Okay. How do
Ich
I?
die Prüfung.
Ich bestehe nicht die Prüfung.
Ich habe die Prüfung nicht
Ich
bestehen.
bestehe.
Okay. So please tell me. So the person who answered in the
Ich
last.
bestehe
No.
nicht.
So wait. So you guys are giving mixed answers. To talk about past, okay, guys, you should know this. Okay. Otherwise, please tell me if I should improve the way I'm helping you understand. So past tense, there are two ways. Like one is preteritum. one is participe zwei or perfect. Okay, Präteritum, how do you say? Subject, verb, and you may or may not have the object. Now this verb you will have to conjugate as per Präteritum. Okay, which is difficult. So what you can do normally is, what you can normally do is, perfect is much more easier. Subject, helping verb, may or may not have object, and then you will have the other verb in participe zwei format. So whenever you learn any verb, learn all the four conjugations in present tense and also learn the participe zwei of that verb. Any idea what is participe zwei of bestehen? No idea. It's bestanden.
Bestate.
No,
Bestand.
Bestellt.
it's bestanden.
Bestellt.
It's bestanden. Okay, let's see that. I'll move to the next slide because it's taking too much time. I thought it will go very faster. Yeah, no problem. So this is how you say, I think we should hire him, and ich denke, wir sollen ihn einstellen. So when you learn this verb, learn it like this: jemanden einstellen. Okay. Normally ein is trennbar, but because you're using modal verb, you don't have to remove it. Okay. Accusative. You remember this table? Okay. This is nominative, accusative, and dative. It is good that you are punctual. Es ist gut, dass du pünktlich bist. Here, just so when you use das, the conjugated verb moves to the last position. So if there was no das, you would have said du bist pünktlich. Because there is das, the bist moves to the last position. I find it interesting. Ich finde es interessant, dass ein Verb, okay, the I is missing over here, ein Verb zwei Bedeutungen haben kann. Normally kann would have been here, like after the subject, but because there is das, the conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position. Okay, I am sure that I passed the exam. Ich bin sicher, dass ich die Prüfung bestehe. Okay, now if you want to say I can pass the exam, so you will have to say, if it was just like I can pass you would say ich kann die Prüfung bestehen. But because you are using das, the can gets pushed to the last position. Any questions? Okay.
No.
Yeah. So I am sad, and also no, ich bin traurig. Happy, you can say glücklich, froh, confused is verwirrt. Someone gave the right answer. Irritated is irritiert, stressed is gestresst. Because now here there is a difference. So with while and the, there is a difference. Like how do you, you don't see it, but let's ignore this for now. So again, few more things, like any meeting that you are, like you can have your opinion, right? About anything, how did you find it? So it's always, as I said, right, when you talk about past tense, so it's good to like normally go with participe zwei, perfect format, but there are exceptions. For example, how often do you say, I find or I found, I found it good or I find it good. So learn the preteritum of these, so for example, you should be good, you should know the preteritum of sein. So here it is: ich bin, ich war, du bist, du warst. You should also know preteritum of finden, ich finde, ich fand, du fandest. Also of glauben, so you should, some verbs you should know preteritum. Okay, so how do I say I find? I will say ich finde. How do I say I found? I will say ich fand. Okay, ich fand es. These are the verbs: wichtig, gut, schlecht, relevant, irrelevant, hilfreich, interessant, nützlich, gefährlich, überall, nirgendwo. Okay. Uh,
Adjectives and adverbs. Adjective
Adjectives,
and
and
adverb.
so here the main ideas I was trying to say is that you can say a lot of things if you know a few verbs and if you know a lot of adjectives. Again, these adjectives are important to my life. You may have other adjectives. Okay, people have different personalities, so they use different adjectives. Just make a list of things,
Okay.
adjectives that you use, and just find the German words for them. All right, let's talk about this das one last time. Okay, so when you have, okay, I hope you can still see it. Okay, let's consider, like, you have a normal sentence, so what is Hauptsatz? We call it like main clause. Nebensatz, you can think of it as subordinate clause. But don't need, all you have to remember is that, you know, in a normal sentence, you have subject, verb, and object. When I say normal sentence, you are using a normal verb. That means the verb is not trennbare. So subject, verb, object, you conjugate the verb. Let's say the same sentence, if I have it after das as a Nebensatz, then what will happen? The conjugated verb is gets pushed to the last position. Okay? Don't remember it like after a verb. Remember towards the last position or at the last position. What happens if you have a modal verb and a normal verb or a trennbare verb? Okay? So let's Okay, let's focus on this one. What here we had like a normal verb. Let's focus on what happens if you have a trennbarer verb. So what you do is subject, and then towards the last position you put the prefix of the verb and you conjugate the rest of the verb. Okay. For example, I turn on. Ich schalte blah blah an or blah blah ein. Clear? And what happens if this sentence gets it's is it after like thus? All that happens is that the conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position, and yeah, because you just have prefix, you just write them together. For example, thus ich blah blah einschalte. Clear what I'm saying or no? Please ask. Okay. Then what happens if you have a modal verb? So here you had just had one verb. Here also you just had one verb, but here you had like a normal verb, and here you had a trend. What happens if you use a modal verb along with it? So, a normal sentence, you have subject, modal verb, object, other verb, the main verb. This verb will be infinitive format. It will towards the at the last position, and you only conjugate this part. Okay. What happens if this sentence, such kind of a sentence, is after thus? Just remember the conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position. Always remember conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position. Here, conjugated just happened to be a modal verb. Clear? Okay. And the other verb, like, it doesn't matter, whether it is normal verb or trend-borrow verb, you will anyhow write it in infinitive format. Clear what I'm saying? Okay. Now I think there is a mistake over here. uh, so I mean, this sentence structure applies to thus, it applies to while, it applies to the, it applies to vein. I think for trotzdem, deswegen, daher, it does not apply. Okay. I will let it, because the sentence it is different with these one. For this sentence structure, like where the conjugated verb gets pushed to the last position applies only to these ones. Thus, while, the, when. I think there are a few more, but just remember this. Just remember for thus. Okay, just remember thus because it is important when you give your opinions. Ich finde blah blah, thus blah blah. All right. Let's talk about comparing. I think we did this in last session as well. I want to do it just one more time. So let's say you and I, let's say, like let's say three of us, and let's say you, me, and let's I and like two of you guys. We are interviewing for a new job. Okay. And I say candidate, and there are three guys that we are interviewing. So I say candidate A is good. How do you say that? It's very simple. If you know how to say is, that is fine. If you know how to say good, that's also fine. How do you say better? Just say besser. How do you say best? You say am besten. Okay. Some people who are using Duolingo, you might have seen like is their best the best. Yes, that's also correct. But it is a little bit difficult to understand because then like endings come into picture. So just learn it like this. Okay. So this is called as comparing. For example, if someone is active, active, more active, activer, like cannot be more active than that, then I'm activsten. Simple, simpler, simplest. Okay. Clear? Now you are asking, okay, so I've noticed the pattern. So, okay, this is an exception, but what do you do is if you want to go from Grundform to comparative, you add er. If you want to go from Grundform to superlative, you add stun, sten. Okay, and you add the alphabets a, like you add the word arm before it. That's true. It works for most of the cases, but then there will be exceptions. Okay, how do these exceptions work? So just check right here. So, but I mean, you don't notice it. It's not like good, gooter, I'm goodston. It's wrong, but you know it, right? So there are exceptions. Just know when there are exceptions, right? Now, how to know like which? So ideally every adjective will have three forms. Do you have to know all of them? No, just the adjectives that are important for your life. These are just that I thought you all may need, but just uh, add like add the adjectives that you normally use when you're talking. Okay. Then how do you say like, so if I say candidate A is good, and then you will say, and I will say candidate B, then let's say if I say candidate A is good, you will say no, candidate B is better. Then of course I have an objection. I will say no, like A and B, they are exactly the same. So candidate A is so gut wie candidate B. Okay. Then you will say no, candidate A ist nicht so gut wie candidate B. Then I will keep arguing my point. No, Kandidat A is genauso gut wie Kandidat B. I hope it is clear, right? So gut, genauso gut. Genauso is like exactly as good. So is like, it is so as good as. Okay. Then So I hope it is clear.
Um,
Question?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we use dog, for example? If
Did
the candidate is not
not,
good,
did not hear
can
this background. Can you speak a little bit louder?
yes, I'm sorry. For example, if interviewer said candidate is not good,
Mm.
and another person like HR said, no, he's good. Dog is good. So
Yeah, yeah.
I want to know how to use that
That
dog.
is a different topic, but I will cover it very quickly. It's part of it.
Okay,
I will
okay,
cover it, no problem. So
okay. Thank you.
in English we just have yes or no, right? In German you have yes, you have no, and you also have dog. Okay. So let's say if the question is posed in a positive way, right? Can you swim? So the answer can be yes or no. You know, these are the two like possible answers. Yes or no. If I pose
Yes.
the question in a negative way, can you not swim? Okay. So normally people have this tendency of answering like English, but no. So if you agree with the answer, okay, if you agree with the answer, just say no. Yeah, no, I cannot swim. Kannst du nicht schwimmen? Nein, ich kann nicht schwimmen. Clear? But if you do not agree with the question posed in a negative way, you will have to say doch. Ich kann schwimmen. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So question positive, it is posed in a positive way, yes or no. If it is posed in a negative way, Kandidat A, so I will say Kandidat A ist nicht so gut. You know, let's is Kandidat A good? Answer can be yes or no. Kandidat A good? Yes or nein. Clear? So either ja, nein, or doch, nein. I hope it is clear, right? So these are the two pairs of answers that you can go to give to yes or no kind of questions. Understood?
Yes, somewhat confused. Say, for example, because I'm not sure where the verb goes, and if
Which
say
one? Like here there is
comes to
like a verb, right? Here it is still. I mean, here just normally, right?
Mhm.
So with doc there is no problem. You just say doc and you just write the sentence as how you
As it
normally
is.
write.
Okay,
Clear?
okay,
There is nothing about verb positioning with doc.
okay. So no change at all. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
nothing. Yeah. Okay. More questions? Okay. All right, guys. This you understand this. Just learn this. How to say like here it is so, but it means as. For example, this means candidate A is as good as. So V. I know like you learned V is how, but here V means as. Just German can be tricky sometimes. The same word can that's what I had this example as well. So it was one verb, but it can also replace with one word. One word can have two meanings, actually more when it comes to German. And that's the good thing about German because you don't have to learn so many things. Just learn few things and you can say a lot of things. If there are no questions, I think I am done for whatever I wanted to like help you understand. It was very easy. If there are questions, please ask. Otherwise, we'll do the exercises. Questions?
Yes, I try to access your link to practice, but the thing is that unfortunately it's not allowing. Everything is in a busy lane. I'm not
Can't
sure.
really hear you one more time.
You posted one link for practice. I
Yes. No,
forgot.
I did not post. Maybe that link was for subscription to the newsletter.
Uh, Actually, I'm in
Maybe some other group you're talking about.
one off. No, actually, I'm in one off. So I'm sorry for the background noise. You posted one link for the practice.
No, I did not. No.
To, uh, okay, I'll
You
ping
just ping me
you.
separately and I'll answer that question.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
All right, guys. Guys, so I now only have exercises for you. So feel free. I mean, if you have any questions, I mean, we have like almost 28 minutes left. So if you have any questions, please ask and like from any topic. Otherwise, we'll do the like. So one topic from today was like, I want you to evaluate your German. You can attend as many sessions as you want, but it's always good to evaluate your German. So let's start with a simple example. How do I say this? How do I say? Yeah.
Ich habe Gefühl,
So Gefühl again. So if you don't want my blood pressure to go up, you should always so you should think whether it is singular or plural. So feelings is plural, right? And you said Gefühl. So let's say if I want to say I have feeling, feeling is sorry, Gefühl is there the das. Okay, if it is not, if you don't know this, just be smart and say like what is plural of Gefühl? Anyone? The same person can answer. I hope you didn't mind my joke.
Okay.
Louder.
I'm not sure. Probably
Okay.
Fuelung.
No, it cannot change that much, right? So it just like the only the ending will change. So Gefühl is correct, but it is feeling. How do you say
Gefühle.
feelings? Gefühle, right? Ich habe Gefühle.
Yeah.
So ich habe Gefühle again, guys. Understand the grammar. Subject, verb is conjugated. Okay. How do you say this?
Wir arbeiten in Gruppe.
Okay, so that's a very smart answer. But the correct answer is wir arbeiten in einer Gruppe. Now you will ask me, how do I know like it is whether it is dative, accusative or no? This because uh, whenever you learn a verb in its entirety. So what do I mean by learn a verb in its entirety? So when you learn a verb, so here the verb is arbeiten. You know, so arbeiten means to work. Just don't learn it like this. So you can learn something like this: an etwas arbeiten. Okay. An etwas dative arbeiten. This will mean like you are working on something. This is also, so learn a verb with the preposition and learn after that whether it is accusative or dative. Now you'll say like there are so many verbs. No, in real life every person just needs maximum of 400 verbs. In like you think it's not true, it is true. Like you don't use more than that verbs normally when you talk. Then another way to the same verb is in etwas. And I mean this one is like you just know it like in uh, etwas dative arbeiten. How do I know all of this? Duolingo. So not Duolingo, leo.org. Okay. So in Gruppe arbeiten, so you work in something. Wir arbeiten in. After in, it has to be dative. Gruppe is like feminine, so it is einer Gruppe. Again, in real life, I mean, I told you that whenever R is towards the end of a word, you don't pronounce, you don't emphasize, you just say einer Gruppe. You can say einer, but you don't have to emphasize that part. Okay, so I hope that any guys, any questions, please ask. Because some concepts are from A1, so I don't know whether you know or no. You know or don't know. So how do I say this, guys?
Ich wähle ein Bild oder
And if you are not sure, you can give multiple answers. So you said ich wähle eine Bild. Is build
yeah.
is it eine Bild? Is it correct? So build is there the
Das.
das Bild. Then what's the correct answer?
Ein Bild.
Ein.
Ein Bild. Okay. Is there any other verb that you can use to say choose? Okay. So there are two ways. There is this verb wählen and there is this verb auswählen. Okay. So auswählen is like trennbare verb. That's why you separate the prefix, you push it to the last position. I mean, it looks the same, right? I mean, you will say, why do I have to learn these two verbs? As you continue learning German, right? So you can just learn from Duolingo. I mean, you can learn like how do you say like German that you can use normally, but you can try to be a little bit more sophisticated. Learn like think when I can use this verb, when I can use that verb. What do I mean by this? Now the question is when to use wählen, when to use auswählen. So wählen is when you have unlimited options. If you, for example, I mean, when I say unlimited, it's not like the one divided by zero. It means like there is seemingly too many options to you for you to choose from. Like for example, choose a smartphone from Amazon. It's difficult to choose one, but there's too many options, right? That means you will have to do auswählen. Oh, sorry, then you'll have to do wählen, unlimited options. But when you have limited options, then you will have to do auswählen. Now you are thinking like, do I have to remember this? No, just what you have to do is like think of, now you learn two verbs, right? Just try to exploit these two verbs as much as you by exploit. I mean like try to write as many sentences as you can where you say I choose. and see when you write willen and when do you have to write auswählen. So wählen unlimited options, auswählen limited options. If any questions, please ask. Again, in real life, if you use them interchangeably, no one is going to point out your mistake, but it's good to know, when to use which one. All right. Questions? No questions. How do I say this one?
The kid is, uh, ein Kind ist uh, in dem Bild.
But why
Is
Das
es
Kind.
gibt ein Kind in das Bild.
Okay, so both of you, I mean, if you say that, I mean, both of you are like, I mean, you are like, at least you are able to communicate what you want to say, and I will know what you are saying, even though I don't speak English. I mean, if I would not, but it's not correct, right? So, for like, so you said ein Kind. Why is it ein Kind? Like,
Das Kind.
Kind, right?
Das Kind.
So it's ein is like an indefinite article. So das Kind. Now is
Das
correct,
Kind.
right? Now you have to say in the picture. Now this is where German language starts to bother people. So sometimes, like, if it is in English, you also use in German, but here it is auf. How do I know that? uh, I can, come up with, like, there are multiple rules why is it auf and not in, but some things just accept it. So whenever you are saying, something is in something, for example, if you are, uh, for example, let's say, you ask your colleague to come up with a presentation, and you have some, how do I say, some comments on the presentation, like what is in the slide, and you want to change it. There you can use it, right? So here the correct one is auf. Okay, so the skin is auf, and after auf, please mute yourself if you're not talking. After auf, it will be dative, and build is das build, so it becomes them build. Questions?
Uh, how to figure it out where to use in and where to use auf?
So in you normally use when you can think of. Okay, it's a very good question. In, for example, if I say the kid is in the refrigerator, again, I hope it never happens, but okay, not refrigerator, but let's say the kid is in the room. Okay, now, like, there are different ways to explain this, but you should imagine in your head, is it like a 3D? So room is 3D, right? Then you will use in, but in the picture you don't really mean like it's not, you just mean it's flat, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Actually, that person have to be in that place, so
Yes.
we can use in.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's not like, no, you cannot use this logic all the time. This is something I use. But what I'm saying is that, like, whenever you imagine, right, how often do you say in the picture, in the report, in the slide, something like that? Okay. Also, sometimes when you want to say on, on the slide, just go with auf. Okay, is it clear what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
the picture on the slide is not good. Das Bild auf der Folie, slide is Folie in German, ist nicht gut. You know what I'm saying? So, more questions? Okay. How do you say this?
Ich
Ich
sehe
sehe,
ein Mann auf dem Bild.
ich sehe
Einen Mann
einen Mann auf
auf
dem Bild.
dem
So
Bild.
after build is for sure correct. Then you say ich sehe. Then after sehe, the man part is it
Einen.
eine? It's
Ein,
accusative, right? It's accusative. Okay. So how do I know it's accusative? Because let's say if I say ich sehe blah blah auf dem Bild, your question will be was siehst du auf dem Bild? And when you can find the missing information with the help of was or what, it is accusative. Again, this logic is not foolproof, but it will help you most of the times. If you can, if I just remove this, if I say ich sehe blah blah, you will ask, like, what are you saying? And because the question is being answered by what, it is accusative. Questions?
If I want to say I see a man, then what will be the answer?
Ich sehe einen Mann. What else would you say? Oh, you mean like see, like, like going on a date or something like that? Or how do you mean?
No, only this sentence. I see a man.
That's it. So you just remove whatever
I'm
is not.
seeing a.
If you just remove whatever
Okay,
is not, so you
okay.
just
So
say
the
ich
context matters. Okay.
sehe. No, I mean even if, like if you say, for example, let's say if you and I are close friends and I meet you on weekend and I say, what, there is news, I'm seeing, ich sehe eine Frau, then it will mean, I mean, it can be many things, you know. So it may mean that I'm going out with her, or it can just mean, like I'm actually right now looking at a woman, you know. Yeah, context is important, of course. How do you say it? Okay, but this accusative part will, grammar will hold, grammar will still hold. Clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. How do you say this one? Also, it's very easy. You just have to frame it the correct W word and the
Was
position.
these two of them built?
Perfect. Was siehst du auf dem Bild? This is like, it cannot get more easier than this.
Was marked air.
Was
Was
marked there.
Was
marked
marked
air.
air.
Marked there. Okay. Yeah. Was marked there.
Was
Was
zinc air.
synced there.
Was synced.
Was synced air.
Yeah. Okay, so some people who are getting confused, so there are two verbs, is and singing. In English, we have, simple present tense, present continuous, present perfect. In German, doesn't have it. It's just present tense. That's it. Okay. So, how do you know, like, whether it is like, you just know, how you are saying, was singt er, you will know, like, are you talking about like present continuous or you're talking about simple present? It depends, you know this if you speak enough German. Next one, it's also very obvious. Very quickly, guys, we have like more examples to
Was
go.
machen die Leute?
Correct. Was machen die Leute, right? So, or the Personen. Okay. The grammar is that second position is of the verb, first position is taken by the W word. After the verb, you will have the subject. Okay. How do I say this?
Ich
So,
feiere.
moment. Can you, is it possible to go back to the previous question,
Sure.
please? So I was thinking of was sind. So,
No. So, as I
um,
said, right? So you're thinking like, I will find a German verb for are and I will find a German verb for doing.
yeah,
No, in German there is
yeah.
it's just one verb. So what is the main verb doing? That's it. If I say what uh, do the people do, then you will find like, are you going to like say Makhan twice? No, right? Or like
Okay,
what? So if I ask you a question, like for example, if instead of if I say what is he doing, okay, so what is he doing? Still the main verb is doing. If I say what does he do, still the main verb is do. Clear?
okay. So I cannot use two conjugations in the sentence. Only one verb has to be conjugated.
Later we will realize how you can do it, but here, so as I said, just so the reason is, you're not supposed to translate one to one. Just think, how, what are you saying? You are saying something in present tense. Okay. And what is your verb is makhan. That's it. And you
Yeah.
say makhan at the second position. And what is your subject? The people, the loiter. And makhan conjugation of, if it was singular, it would have become marked. Okay. So for example, like here,
Okay.
so it was zinked, right? Here,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was trying to convert word by word. So I thought was sind the Leute machen.
no, if you
So like
say it,
that. Okay.
people will know what you are saying, but
Okay.
it's not correct. Again, just think like,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
why German is so, like, many people think English is easy. German, no, English is difficult because you have to like learn so many things. German, just one case in present tense, so easy. Okay. So, just like, what is he doing?
Okay.
Was macht er? What are the people doing? So the people come over here, and the conjugation for the people is machen. Okay, the Leute. Clear?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Most welcome. Uh, the answer is fire. Why do I have this? Like, most of you come from South Asia, and you always talk about, like, even I am. I talk like talking about festivals, and you should know how to say celebrate, and then you can add more things. You can add, for example, I celebrate this festival. So ich feiere dieses Fest. Okay, you may not know what, like, so this is. We'll talk about this later. How to say this. Actually, you should know it. This was part of A1, so you should know this. Dieses Fest. If not, please ask. We'll cover it in some sessions. How do you say I mean, this is also obvious. I celebrate ich feiere das Fest ABC, whatever it is. And it's also accusative, but neutrum is still das in accusative as well. Again, how do I ask this, guys?
Was
Was
fires
fires
do?
Yeah, and if I ask what are you celebrating, then what is the answer again?
was fires do?
Was
Same.
fires do?
It's the
Was
same.
first
Correct.
do.
It's the same. How do I say this very quickly, guys?
We fires do.
We
We
fires
first
do.
do.
Correct, right? Or how are you celebrating? It is still the same. We fires too.
Yeah.
Now this one.
Sie zeigt die das Bild.
Okay.
Aus.
Someone wants to
The
correct him.
Sie zeigt
It is photos, right? Not
the
photo.
the
die
this
Bilder.
guy.
Builder, right? She's like the builder. Okay. So yeah, she shows the photos. The answer still remains this. Okay. Now, how do I say this one? She is showing the photos to me.
Sie zeigt mir die Fotos.
Correct. Right. So the photos is the direct object. Me, like the person who is seeing, like who is being shown the photos, is the indirect object, and the indirect object is dative. Okay. Now the question is, like, so these they both are objects, right? So should I say sie zeigt Mia the builder, or should I say sie zeigt the builder Mia? Again, in real life, you can, depends how you say it, but on paper, the dative object has to be before the accusative object. Okay, on paper in exam, the dative object has to be before the accusative object. There is one exception when the accusative object is a pronoun. When the accusative object is a pronoun, then it has to be before the dative one. We'll come to that when we talk about it. Okay, normally remember dative before accusative. Okay, only when the accusative one is a pronoun, like mich, dich, euch, sie, ihn, then it will be before it. For example, if I were to use a pronoun for the photos, what will I use?
Sie.
Sie, right? So sie zeigt sie mir. Okay, questions? Okay, as I said, in real life, if, like, for example, in real life, we don't talk, like in full. If we say, like, we start saying and then we go on adding, right? So I will say sie zeigt the builder Mia. So I'm saying, like, in real life, grammar is important, but depends on how you speak. You know, uh, it's the same thing. Like she's showing the photos to me or me. It's still the same. It's still the same. Sie zeigt Mia the builder. Don't think because it is two, you will have to use zu. No. Okay. How do I say this?
Ich einlade
Ich
dich.
lade dich an.
Correct, right? It was
Ein.
trennbare verb. So you will have to take the prefix, which was normally here, you push it to the last position just before the full stop, and you conjugate the rest of the verb for the given subject. So just give me the ich lade du. So it is ich lade and then du, guys.
No, dish.
Dich.
If
Du
it was,
dich.
if it was like you invite me, how will I say you invite me? I want the conjugation table for
Du
einladen
lädst.
Du
Du lädst
lädst
and RSZ.
mich ein.
mich
It's
ein.
fine. What is for RSZ? Ich
Du
lade.
lädst.
No, laid, just laid. So the spelling is like, the spelling is like this. The reason I'm, so these exercises, this is not enough. I'm just telling you how you can practice German. It's ich lade, du lädst. I hope I am not wrong. RSZ, laid. So how do you pronounce it? I mean, just don't complicate. Just say laid. Okay. You can say it like this. Okay. And Ia, guys,
Lädt.
ladet. Okay. And for every other, like ZZVia, it's Laden. All right. That's correct. Thank you very much for answering. Let's again go to slideshow mode. How do I say this? Who is inviting? Now here there is,
Wer
yeah,
einladst
Okay, now
Where
it is tricky. So, like,
Wallet.
how do
where
you?
einladet?
No, but you still
Where late
No, where late.
ein, right? Just replace who. If it was like, like he is inviting question mark, you would say er lädt ein, and now the subject is who, right? You know what I'm saying? Who is a W, but it is still the subject. So wer lädt ein? Is it clear what I'm saying?
yes.
Right? So if it was like, he is inviting, you would say er lädt ein, question mark, right? And if you want to say now there is an object like who is inviting whom, right? So wer lädt wen ein? Clear what I'm saying? So wer lädt ein? Okay, who invites also is the same, but if I want to say who is inviting whom, then you will have wen, because wer in accusative is wen. Clear? No, who is inviting
Yes.
whom? Because the verb is, the verb is, if that's how you should learn the verb in its entirety. Learn it like this. Ye man done, it's accusative, ein laden. Okay, when you learn this, also learn the all like ich lade, du lädst, all of this. Also learn the participle zwei. That's how you should learn the verb eingeladen. Participle zwei. You will need this later when you talk about past tense. So it's the same. He's here. Wer lädt? Okay, who is inviting you? No, wer lädt dich ein? Who is inviting me? How do I say this?
Wer lädt mich ein?
Correct. How does one celebrate? How do you say one in German? Like not as a number, like
Man.
man. So now,
Man.
then sentence, please.
Wie feiert man
Correct.
We fired man.
Yeah. This one.
das Geschenk ist für
Yes.
dich,
Her. How do I say her?
sie?
Here.
No.
Here.
Ia will be dative. So after for few, it's almost always accusative. So Z is still Z in accusative. Okay. So Z. And what about him? Er becomes what?
In.
In, right?
In.
Right. And me.
Für ihn. Für mich.
Mich.
Miss.
mich,
We just looked at this table, so just want to go back one last time. Where was that table? Here, remember this table. How do you know, like, what is the test if I come to your house at tomorrow at 4 a.m. in the morning and you are sleeping, and if I throw cold water on your face, and if I ask you to give me this table, you can, of course, slap me, like, for throwing cold water on your face, but you should give me this table. And only then this table is good enough for you. Then you remember this table. All right, where were we? Thank you for finding it funny, Rishi. So this is fine. Let's me go back to slideshow mode again. I am buying the kettle again. When I say kettle, don't think kettle. The one thing that you use to boil water in your house, in Germany or wherever you live. How do I say this?
Ich kaufe die Wasserkocher.
And whether it is there, the thus,
Der.
there. So then it will be ich kaufe
Den Wasserkocher.
den Wasser.
Wasserkocher.
So den
ein,
Wasser. Because if I say I am buying blah blah, you will ask what are you buying, and because of what, that's why den accusative. I can buy the kettle,
Ich kann den Wasserkocher kaufen.
right? So now you have this. So now you are prepared to. So Black Fridays are coming. You will be like thinking of what to buy, what you can buy or what you cannot buy. So you can make just make a list. Ich kann, and just make a list. What all you can buy, and learn the correct nominative article for each of them. Okay. What you can. If you want to say I cannot buy, you just add ich kann. Then Wasserkocher, just add nicht over here. Okay, just before kaufen. Want to? How do I say want to?
Ich
Ich
will,
Ich will
den Wasserkocher
den
den
Wasserkocher
Wasserkocher kaufen.
kaufen.
Say want to, or you can say möchte. I mean, they both are same. Depends. I mean, not same, but I hope I should. It will be. I mean, I what did I? It will be ich soll.
Ich soll.
Yeah,
Ich soll.
there is R missing here. So ich soll den Wasserkocher kaufen. How do I say this one? People ask this in Instagram groups when they have this.
Ich darf reisen.
Correct. Ich darf reisen.
Ich muss den Wasserkocher kaufen.
Correct. So you only conjugate this one, modal verb, and the other verb you push to the last position and you don't conjugate it, you leave it this infinitive form. That is the good part about modal verb, because you don't have to conjugate this one, because you make mistakes. You only know the modal verb conjugation. It makes your life easier. I don't know if you'll ever say this, but let's see if you know how to say this. How do you say to whisper?
Air
Ah, okay. It's fine. It's
Weisen.
Flüstern. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know this because if you watch movies, anything in Germany, you will hear such kinds of things, and what are you whispering? Was flüsterst du? Again, there are other ways to say whisper, but this is one way to this one verb to say flüstern. He was whispering.
Here was
You don't. So now it is past tense. Okay, so there are two ways to talk about past tense. So you can still have subject
एक
verb object,
फ्लूस्टर
right? So
uh,
right, a
yeah,
flüstern. So he's using preteritum, and if you want to go with participes y, what will be your guess?
एक हार्ट
Ihr hat flüstern.
geflüstert.
geflüstert
Geflüstert.
If you are confused, go with gay. Okay, yeah, hard
okay
geflüstert. If you're confused, how do you say this? The game begins. Again, you can replace game with anything you want.
Spiel beginnt.
Das Spiel
the
beginnt.
spiel
Das Spiel
beginnt
beginnt.
Right? Das
It
Spiel
is
beginnt. Das Projekt beginnt. Der Streit beginnt. Der Urlaub beginnt. Just say whatever you want. How do again now this sentence looks like present tense, but it is actually past tense, right?
Das Spiel hat
the spiel hat
begonnen.
Begonnen.
beginnt there
Not always.
begonnen.
It's fine,
but
you can say that,
okay
but the begonnen is correct. I mean, your guess,
yeah.
like you can go with gay, but it's not correct. Yeah. If you say the Spiel hat begonnen, people will know what you're saying, but it's not correct. Now this one, how do I say this one?
Ich soll warte.
Ich sollte.
Ich soll
Ich
Hausaufgabe
soll
machen, weil ich weil ich Deutsch
lernen
lernen will.
Correct.
will.
So ich soll Hausaufgaben machen. Again, sollte is more correct, but I have not taught you sollten, so sollte is more correct, but let's go with soll. Now, guys, so I think you already know this if you were in A1 or any other session. So this is what I mean. People say to learn German, start watching German movies. This advice is not like very efficient. What you can do is, don't watch movies, rewatch movies, and which one, right? Whose original audio is in your mother tongue or a language you can speak fluently. You know, and one more criteria is that you have binge watched it again and again you know so you make a list of 10 movie series that you normally you can binge watch anytime. Some like it can be different people have different like taste. Why make a list of 10? Because the top 3 may not be available on Netflix in German audio. Okay, so you will have to make this, how do you say, compromise. Okay, also do not use any subtitles. Okay, people use subtitles, it is again not efficient. Okay, so in the beginning it may be awkward, but because it is your favorite movie, right? If you have binge watched again and again, you don't need to understand what they are saying, you already know what they are talking about. Okay, so for 1 week it may the call will end, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Please remember this advice, and yeah, we'll see each other on day after tomorrow. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Vielen Dank.